back. This is Bull Broadcasting. It's a new show here. We're talking news and trending stuff. And you know what? We got me and a co-host here we normally do the show with, but my boy's in the bathroom or gone or left or quit. I don't know what he's doing, but you got me. You also have Ashley here.
You're here. I'm here. We're here.
You excited about today's show?
I am.
No, yeah. Last week was kind of a dud. Yeah, it wasn't our best performance, but you know what? We got this new show, and so we're just trying this thing out. We're focusing on trending topics and kind of world news, trying to keep a lighthearted approach to it, and not be too stiff here. But a lot to talk about today. Elon Musk has been very, very comical lately. Had a tweet out to Taylor Swift, which we'll go over in a little bit. Also, we had SpaceX have their launch of private people are launching into space for spacewalks. And then you also have, Donald Trump. He's been on a new policy as well. And so, you have no tax on, we'll get into it in a second. Also, Venezuela. The gangs are taking over. The Haitians are eating the cats. It's an interesting time we're in, so we're going to dive into that a little bit as well. Without further ado, I think we'll get into it here. But, how you feeling about this whole political landscape when it comes to eating cats and eating dogs?
You know what? I'm not the biggest fan of eating cats and dogs, but not
the biggest fan of eating cats and dogs.
Tried it, but I'm not the biggest.
Not the biggest fan. It's a little gamey for me.
Yeah. Sometimes there's not enough meat. I don't know.
It's like I'm more of a dark meat kind of guy. There's not a lot of dark meat on the cat.
Exactly.
So welcome to those of you who are just joining us who do got FOMO Sapien. Where's my co-host at? David, where you at? You coming or what? And so, yeah, we got oh, there he is. Yeah, well, have a seat, man. What are you doing?
Man.
My man's over here.
That cat messed up my stomach, man.
Oh, you tried cat?
No.
He says, in comes the man that says, we're going to go live at 11:15 or 12:15. We got to be done by 1, and then leaves for God knows how.
Rules for me.
10 minutes.
Yeah, but the show must go on. No matter what. Maybe maybe you'll start the show out next week. Actually,
Ooh, maybe I will.
What do you drink? What are you drinking?
A pumpkin chai. It's pumpkin season.
Okay.
Are you not excited for pumpkin season?
No. I don't think pumpkins should be inside of a drink.
What should they be?
You should not liquefy a pumpkin.
We must liquefy.
Hey, if you can put a kiwi in a pizza, you can definitely liquefy a pumpkin.
So, yeah. Kiwi.
What's wrong with pumpkin?
There's a lot wrong with pumpkin. It's like, pumpkins belongs on the dinner table, not in a drink.
I actually don't mind pumpkin.
Pumpkin's so good.
I'm not surprised.
Pretty good.
Whatever.
Not surprised at all.
Pumpkin pie.
Want to get into, so Trump was in Arizona, and he was speaking on anyways, I'll just let this roll here. So you got Trump. He came out, he said he doesn't want a tax. He wants to completely get rid of tax on overtime. So, if you've ever worked overtime, I'm sure most of us have, you notice that you usually fall into a higher tax bracket when you start working those overtime hours. You see you get paid more, but you also get taxed more. But here's a reverse to that whole ideology. So instead of taxing people more money when they work overtime, let's just get rid of the tax altogether. That's a proposal from Donald Trump. So
Today,
check this out.
I'm also announcing that as part of our additional tax cuts, we will end all taxes on overtime. You know what that means? Think of that. Think of that. Think of today. I'm also
so it brings up an interesting thought because he's expanded upon this when he was talking about it. And so not only do you get the elimination of the tax, but what he was saying is that it'll spur it'll spur economic. It'll spur the economy, right? Because it'll incentivize people to work longer to go in and put in those overtime. Because a lot of people I know.
How about the low hanging fruit? You keep more of the money, right? If you're working overtime and you are not getting taxed on the overtime, that means you're keeping more of the money. So in turn, you're now able to spend more money, spurring the economy.
So what's GDP? GDP is gross domestic product, which is more or less a measure of productivity, right? The more productive that the workforce is, the more the GDP generally goes up, right? There's a pretty obvious correlation there. And so if you're getting more productivity out of the working class and they're incentivized to do overtime to produce more products, we know that the baby boomers are retiring, so the workforce is decreasing in size. So why not, hey, pick up the slack here instead of having a bunch of immigrants come in? You know what? Let's get a bunch of let's get the working class that we have now to pick up the slack. And you know what? Let's not tax them, and it'll incentivize them to do it. Because I know a lot of times when I was working an hourly position, I would get asked to work overtime all the time, and like, hey, it's time and a half. But then in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, but I'm gonna get taxed down to normal pay anyways, right? And so I don't know. For me,
taxes are interesting. You get taxed on the money you make, and then once that money is already taxed, then you get taxed again when you spend that money. And if you run a business and someone else sends you money for your services, that's already been taxed. Now you got to pay tax on it again. And so I'm all for less taxes. Let people keep more of the money. The idea that by the government taking more of your money, we're essentially saying, hey, Uncle Sam, we trust you to spend our money better than we would spend our money. And that's the situation we're in. $35 trillion in debt here in the U.S.
What about you, Ashley? Are you going to work overtime here in the studio now? Because, we're not going to get taxed on it now.
No. However, I do work a lot of overtime at my hourly job, and I make none of the money. So I do like this idea a lot.
Does this mean you're voting for Donald Trump?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think this is going to sway voters? Because I know here, we record here in Vegas, and in Vegas, obviously we have a large dependency on tips, being that we're a hospitality focused city. And so I know a lot of people here were very excited when Donald Trump said he's not going to tax tips. But do you think you're going to get that same kind of outpouring of support, or perhaps new voters coming in saying, "Hey,
No.
you know what? I mean, how many people? You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
I mean, how many people are working overtime just naturally that perhaps haven't made a decision, right? Or leaning more towards Kamala, and they're like, "Hey, man, I work 20 hours overtime every week." I mean, you look at firefighters. I mean, honestly, look at firefighters, police officers.
I'm trying to think of the profession. Like my brother-in-law, he works in electrical, and he works overtime every week. Can I see him being swayed? Sure.
But think about municipal workers, right? And government services. Those
don't
are
really work
heavily.
overtime.
Yeah, they do. The firefighters,
Who do you know?
firefighters, and police officers.
Okay.
Like they're
I'm thinking the clerk at the government.
No,
office.
man, because I know every time, because I had a couple friends try to get me to become a police officer, and I'm like, man, the salary's crap, right? Or the pay is crap. They're like, yeah, they're like, the base pay is whatever, you make $75,000 a year, but you end up making $150,000 after all the overtime you work. And I'm like, damn, y'all work that much overtime? I'm like, yeah. But then, how much of that is getting taxed? So
Let me ask you a question. What swings the vote more? No taxes on tips or no taxes on overtime?
no taxes on overtime, because I think that majority. I know here.
You think there's more people that work overtime than make tips?
Oh, hell yeah, 100%. Here in Vegas,
Let's find out.
in Vegas, we are
research.
definitely tip heavy, but we're outside the norm. I mean, outside of restaurant jobs, think about this: if you left Vegas, who else is getting tips outside of a restaurant?
Chicago, Miami, New York.
No. I'm just saying, what jobs outside of Vegas are getting
Outside
tips?
of restaurants, you mean?
Yeah. There you go.
Gas station workers that say
Gas station workers.
Gas station workers?
you've never been to a gas station.
I've never
You've
tipped a
never
gas
been to
station worker.
you've never been to a gas station when
I
they're
have
like,
never tipped somebody
is that
at a
it,
gas
sir?
station.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, it's just gonna ask you a question and they flip the thing around. You guys have never? Starbucks workers.
You lost this one, bro.
That's a restaurant.
Still, there's a lot of restaurants. There's a
There's
lot of restaurants.
more companies than restaurants. I hate to say it. Okay.
I'm gonna ask my I'm working on asking my friend here if there's more people that work overtime or more people.
You're asking ChatGPT? Okay,
Your
cool.
friend?
So look, also, so that there was Trump speaking, but also Tim Walsh, the vice president of the Democratic ticket.
Because this started, and I love this story, as a young prosecutor.
Talking about Kamala Harris. Rewind. Listen to that.
Wait, what?
What did you hear? He was talking about Kamala Harris and as a young prosecutor, or did he not say prosecutor?
Because this started, and I love this story, as a young prosecutor.
Prostitute.
Kamala Harris talked about going in that
I mean, is he
courtroom
wrong?
for the first time.
Is he wrong, Willie Brown?
Because this started, and I love this story, as a young prosecutor.
Prostituter.
I'm so that it was
Do
not.
they make overtime?
Oh, Lord.
You know what? I think
Because there's a lot of
certain
prostituters.
industries.
There is a lot of prostituters, and hey, if you're telling those people you ain't paying overtime, I think they might vote for Trump.
Doesn't he just look? Doesn't he look?
He's strange.
Withered, man.
He's
he
very
looks
strange.
tired. Like, look at this, man. He looks gassed, man. He looks tired.
Kamala Harris
dude.
talked about going
Doesn't he
in
look?
that.
Doesn't he look kind of beat up? You look at Donald Trump,
Well, I mean, his
and you look at Donald Trump, and you know he's definitely a lot more excited, put together.
what are you?
energetic.
No. The
I mean,
question,
dude comes out dancing
you're
every
mi-
time he gets on stage.
You're missing the point here. If you were Kamala Harris's running mate, would you not also be beat up like that?
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
But
Have you seen the look she gives? All I'm saying.
also, we had first private citizens, not government employees, not people of NASA, out walking around in space. And not only was this the first private spacewalk in history, but it was also the furthest spacewalk since the U.S. went to the moon. And so here are some images. You know what? I got a lot. I was really excited about this. And so here.
Where are they walking exactly? Just random.
No, they're poking their head out of the spacecraft. And so this is the view from the helmet cam. And well, there's, planet Earth. So
Pause it. Does this end the debate of the Earth is flat? Seriously, do you believe? Can you believe people still? have that argument?
when I first saw that, I was like, yeah, that's obviously like you can go see firsthand. Like I mean, here's the thing. Like, if you believe, like, how can satellites work without a round Earth, right? And so,
Fair.
But
that takes a lot of thought, a lot of knowledge. Maybe you got to get a higher subscription to chat.
So there was, I think it was 4 individuals that did spacewalk. Also, you had Jared, I think, was the first one out.
Is that Jared from Subway?
Not Jared from
Oh, he's in
Subway.
jail still.
No, and then you had Sarah Gillis. So also
That looks so fake though, doesn't it?
It does look very.
That looks very AI.
and so
Yeah, that looks so. You sure this is real?
yeah, this is it, man. I mean,
Is that how people move in space? Just like you move in real life?
Yeah.
Doesn't look real.
So anyways, you had Sarah Gillis. So not only was it a moment for private private citizens.
Is she the first
to go-
woman in space? To space?
No, not the first woman to space, but the furthest spacewalk by a woman, right? Because no women ever went to the moon. But which is kind of funny. Here's a post here. So this is a woman communicating back to Houston. So first woman in space. Houston, we have a problem. What's the problem? Never mind. What's wrong? Nothing. Please tell us. I'm fine.
Sounds like an awfully familiar conversation. So it not only happens on Earth, but it happens in space as well. It's like, hey, what do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want to eat? We're in space, damn it. Where's 2 options? What do you want to eat? Well, I don't know.
It's a meatloaf or ground turkey. All right. So, or ground cat. What do you think about?
Yummy.
Would you go to space, Ashley?
Why not?
Would you?
Why not?
It's pretty dangerous. I would say that. I mean, what do you think the chances are of death?
I would only go if I was like terminally ill.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
I have a phobia of heights, so it doesn't get much higher than that. So
You're
yeah,
scared of heights?
yeah.
Are you scared of heights?
I am.
He is.
Grow up.
I don't mind heights if I'm in a plane or strapped to a seat, like say a roller coaster or something. But if I'm like
What
on the
other
top of a
heights?
building when there's like a railing there, like you will not see me anywhere near that railing.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Nope. So
Oh.
I'm all of the above.
so
or all of the below.
Elon Musk, obviously the king of innovation. You know, he's like the Thomas Edison, right? Of our era. But doesn't go without some amazing comments. Obviously, you know, he purchased the X platform, and I don't know if you caught this tweet a couple of days ago, but quite interesting. You had Elon Musk saying this. So Taylor Swift came out after the debate and endorsed Kamala Harris, which we know that Elon Musk has endorsed Donald Trump. And so Elon Musk tweeted at her and said, "Fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life."
He's just a troll master.
That thing is first of all, a little cringy, but you think this is funny? Or what do you think?
This is Elon, though.
I mean, it is him.
It's his humor. Like everyone's humor is different. This is totally Elon.
He said,
Right?
I will give you a child.
Yeah. He's got like 12 kids. He believes that people need to have more babies.
I'm surprised Travis Kelce didn't
He
reply
did.
on this one.
He did.
He didn't.
You sure?
Yeah,
I thought I saw
saw because
something.
I was doing this. I was putting this together, and I looked to see because I saw he had replied, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna make some good content," and is fake. It's not real. He has not come out and replied at all.
Do you think he's scared?
I think he's just
You know,
trying to stay out of
men
it.
size each other up, right? It's like if I know if I'm getting ready to size someone up and I know they
Yes.
have billions of more dollars than
Okay, let me ask
probably-
you: if that was your wife, would you have said something?
Hell yeah.
But do you think, Ashley? Do you think Travis Kelce should have said something? Her man?
I mean, it's Elon Musk, though. Like, what are you going to say? I don't know. Would you defend your lady?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would do it more out of like,
I feel like it should be a joke back.
yeah, you
like
gotta
nothing
punch back.
serious. Like it
that's
should be a joke back. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
There's some weirdos that would say, "Hey, can I watch?"
There are some weirdos that would say that. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if you would have thought it out, you could have came back with some kind of funny comment. But I mean, think about it. So you got Taylor Swift obviously endorsing the Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris. And she got a lot of heat for that. And so here are some demographic trends. And so, not Katy Perry.
That video.
Taylor Swift has kind of fallen in line with demographics. So her endorsement is in line with demographic trends. Unmarried women are primarily voting Democratic for the Democratic Party. So you see here, Democrats, unmarried women, 68% of unmarried women are voting Kamala per this poll. 18,000.
Do you think those are
respondents.
happily unmarried women?
And so you're married, which is interesting because married women for only 42%. So more married women are voting Republican versus the unmarried women. And then also unmarried men are quite high. They're almost at 50%. But married men are at 39% voting Democrat. So a lot of married men here are going Republican. Ashley, you are unmarried. Are you in this group here? What's going on?
I'm not voting for Kamala, so I don't know. I
That
don't
means you're
fall
voting
in
for
that
Trump?
category.
Just say
Yeah.
it. Just say it. You're voting for Donald Trump.
Hmm.
Who cares? Say it.
I don't know who cares.
Yeah.
Trump. Yeehaw.
So I mean, quite a interesting numbers there.
I heard a conversation. They were talking about the impact of her endorsement of Kamala, right? She got an award at the VMAs. She also, in her Instagram post, put a link to go register to vote. And a lot of people are saying, oh my God, they got 330,000 signups to vote, and it's going to sway the election. And then I forget who it was, but I read something on X, and it talked about breaking down the numbers of, okay, how many of those people have already been included in the poll? How many of those people are already going to vote the way they were going to vote? Like, because the battle for votes is in the independents. We know Democrats are going to vote Democrat. We know Republicans are going to vote Republicans. What is that, like, 20% independent group going to vote? And do you think that her endorsement
at one point I used to vote Democrat, and then I swapped over because the Democrat ideology, I think, is broken right now. It's not the Democrats that I grew up with, right? And so now I think it's less about, you know, giving power to the middle class. I think it's more about controlling the middle class, right, and keeping them happy with handouts. And so, I don't know. I think that the vision of the Democrats has swayed greatly from where it was. Some people say that's for the better. They're giving more inclusion to different races, ethnicities, and genders, but also they're on one end, you know, giving up other freedoms, right? They're saying, hey, you know what? Let's let the government control healthcare and this and give us all of our subsidies. And so, you know, it's more about government control, but you're gonna, you know, essentially take care of the middle class, and which is more of that socialist kind of mindset. Speaking of mindsets, also another post here from the Rabbit Hole. He brought up this other interesting graph here. So there's also a lot of concerning mental illness trends amongst young women going on here. Obviously, I mean, this man seems to be a little bit one-sided on his perspective, but so this is from 2020, and a quote. This was per American Trends Panel Wave 64 from Pew Research, and so. Has a doctor or healthcare provider ever told you that you have a mental health care condition? And what is the percentage of women saying yes? And so the percentage of women that have said, yes, I have a mental condition, for liberal women, it's over 50% of liberal women under the age of 30 have been diagnosed or been told by a doctor that they have a mental health care condition. Which by conservative women is down to 20%. Now, you can take that what you will. I don't think that there is 60% of women in this country have mental illness. I think that mental illness has been blown out by pharma and other companies, and there's a lot of.
So then how do you explain this divergence of different?
Well, I mean, what is the liberal ideology, right? Is that, hey, you know, you can change your gender, you can hey, throw some tampons in the men's restroom. I think that it breaks a lot of just deep-rooted, just normal thought processes. And when I say, I guess there's really no normal thought process, but I would say that the thought process that the human race has had up until this point was, hey, a man is a man, a woman is a woman, and you know what? Like, the man is the one that provides for the household. He goes out, he's the breadwinner, and the lady takes care of the household. And that has been flipped on its head. I'm not saying that all liberals are, that women have to stay at home. Not saying that, but realistically speaking, in the 1920s, there was a very, very small percentage of women out in the workforce. Now there's a large percentage of women out in the workforce. And
let me try to spin this a different way. You showed a chart that showed unmarried women versus married women, right? Married women,
and you can look at men too. And men, even
no.
Men,
Let's stay on women. Let's stay on women. Married women typically vote conservative. Unmarried women are typically voting Democrat. Can you argue then that maybe the unmarried woman, or even if you can tie this thing to a political side, are they going to the doctor more, which gives more opportunity for them to be told by a doctor that they have a mental health disorder?
I think liberal women are more exposed to the ideologies of the liberal movement, where, hey, you know what? You need to embrace your thoughts, and if you're confused, you might be a man, or if you're, I think that they encourage you to test your conservative thoughts, right? That's why you're liberal. And so you go to the doctor looking for answers.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think there's more liberal women that are vaccinated against COVID, or more conservative
100%,
women?
100%.
Okay.
Liberal.
And
Liberal,
then
you think too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think there's your
obvious,
answer right there.
Yeah, and then you can also look at, it's not just, it's just a liberal ideology, right? And so you look back at the chart. I mean, men are over 30%. Over 30% of men have been diagnosed with or been told by a doctor that they have a mental condition for men under 30. And I mean, it's quite scary. I mean, honestly, I mean, you think about it. And then also, I think what we're not talking about is perhaps the foundation of just simply being married grounds you into a safe environment. Because I think that if you're told that you have a mental health care condition, obviously you're probably going to be prescribed some medication, which could have adverse side effects. And so I think that, hey, maybe if you settle down, you marry early, you don't go out running around being single and acted stupid. If you settle down, you get married young, under 30, you get married. I think that you're less likely to have the trauma that you would have as a single woman or even a single man, right? Don't you think that you have a daughter? Wouldn't you want her to get married before she's 30?
If that's what she wanted, yeah.
No, but I'm just saying. Don't you think it'd be okay? It would be. I would say for her development, it's probably better.
I'll give you an anecdotal from an anecdotal standpoint. In my culture, 100 years ago, the father would choose who the daughter would marry, right? And that was like that in a lot of cultures. But in the Armenian culture, that's what they would do. And so if I was 100 years back and I had my daughter, yeah, I would want her to get married before 30.
I have a daughter too. I think it is dangerous as hell for her to be single till she's 30. I think that running around single, sleeping with multiple people, I think damages a woman's, I don't know, her core values. I think that women should be pure. And I'm not saying that you have to grow up, be a virgin, just go till you're 30. No, I'm just saying that, like, I think that women are in a safer position marrying early and not going out on the dating scene. I think the dating scene is a lot of what's broken with America.
I was going to take it more the safety route, right? You start, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4 boyfriends. You never know. You might get into the hands of a crazy one versus finding a good person, settling down. And now your role as a father, you pass it on to her husband. And so he is now the protector of your daughter versus you, because we're only going to be around so long, right? Our children are going to outlive us. That's the whole idea. You disagree, though. I'm curious. You want to expand on that? Of women getting, wanting women to be married under 30?
I mean, I feel like it depends on the woman specifically. Like, I don't know if you are expecting every single woman to just settle down right away and get married. I think that it all depends on the man as well. As you already mentioned, that there's men that are abusive, or you didn't say abusive, but there are men that are abusive. There's a lot of sick people.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, what if she thinks she found the right one and then turns out he's
not the right one?
Psychotic.
That's why you date, right? I don't think anyone here is saying, hey, meet someone and go get married.
And I'm saying before 30. So I'm just saying that if you're 33 years old and you haven't gotten married, I don't know. I feel like as from my perspective, I think that a woman has been through more trauma than necessary if she got to that point, and that she's probably slept with, knowing our culture now, if you got to 33 years old and then you got married, you've probably been around. Just my personal experiences from the people that I've interacted with.
So what about like married and divorced 4 times before 30?
I mean, I'm not. I think that's a different subject, but
it really isn't a different subject, though. So I'd like you to explain.
I mean, I've been married and divorced twice
but I don't.
now,
but
so
I don't think. I don't think it was a shot.
I understand.
I don't think it was a shot to you, though.
It wasn't.
It wasn't. I don't think it was a shot to you. But
you're expecting a woman to get married before 30. But like,
let me make
your thought process.
I think it's not about the fact that marriage is broken. I think that society has also. They've also softened the marriage union, right, and how strong it is. I think that back in the 1920s, 30s, I think that it was, hey, you're marrying somebody, this is someone you commit. And so it was supposed to be very, very scary. And it was the one of the strongest decisions of your life. This is who my partner is going to be until death do us part. Now it's marriage and weddings have been commercialized. What size is the ring? How, where did he propose? How big is the wedding? You know what I mean? I feel like it's become more of a
Status.
versus, hey, you know what? This is a partnership between two people that are going to grow old with each other. I think that's why, the marriages do fall apart. Also, the roles of man and women have changed a lot lately as well. So,
But let me give you a different perspective. Let's say a woman, or let's say I bring my daughter up and I put in her head, got to get married before you're 25. You got to get married before you're 25. And she has that in her head, and the first person she thinks is going to be her soulmate, she marries, and it ends up being the bad choice. To what Ashley was saying. And then, okay, well, all right, that didn't work. Well, let me date someone else. Bam, 2 months later, get married. You don't think
pressure. I don't think pressuring someone else's decision is the right way to go about it. I think.
But isn't that what you just said?
No. But I think if you have the proper upbringing and you encourage that mentality, and in the same way, like here's my thing. Like I think that it's beneficial for my kids to go to college, but I don't think that is the end all be all one path to fix everything. Right. I think that there's plenty of professions and career choices and other options that people can have ultimate success in without going to college. And so I would like my son and my daughter to go to college. I think it's beneficial. But if they choose not to, then so be it. And it's the same thing for say getting married. I would like to see my son and my daughter get married before they're 30. I think it'll help them in the long run to have success as far as the opposite. And the same could be true with.
Why is getting married success?
No, I said that going to college is success, but I think that getting married.
You just said getting married.
I think getting married is a success. Let me share another anecdote with you. Okay.
Okay.
I have two brothers. I'm not going to say which one. One of them, I got married at the age he is at right now. And my life path has been a lot different than his. He is struggling with gambling. He is struggling with drinking. He is struggling with paying his bills. He is struggling with being accountable, right? He doesn't have that person. He doesn't have something bigger. Me, on the other hand, I got married when I was 24, 25 years old. I had a kid at 26, 27. So now I have responsibilities. I start looking at life differently. I make different choices. I start to look to grow.
But I feel
my
as though you
income.
can still have those problems when you're married.
Yeah,
Of course you
100%.
can, of course, but it's all about probabilities, right?
Yeah.
What are the probabilities that you take path A versus path B if you have responsibilities and people you have to be held accountable to, whether it's a wife or a kid or a husband, or if you're just by yourself, you got nothing to lose.
Exceptions to the norm doesn't break the rule, right? And so you can sit here and say, like, I'll raise my kid anywhere, right? I can raise him in the ghetto, and there's plenty of impoverished individuals that grow up in low-income households that make it out. But at the end of the day, the probability of getting stuck in that lifestyle and never breaking out is higher in a impoverished area. And to grow up in poverty, you have less chance to have success. And growing up in a nice rural neighborhood where they have more prestigious education system, obviously you're going to have a larger chance to have success in life. And I think that the same can be said for societal issues, right? And so I think that people that get married earlier are going to have more success than someone that's single. A woman that's single until she's 33, I think is going to have a harder time having success versus someone that settles down.
But success means different things to people.
Yeah.
To a woman, success might mean making $250,000 a year, running a large corporation. That might be success to her. Other women, success might be having children and raising
back to the chart. Don't you think that unmarried women, don't you think that having struggles mentally and being diagnosed with mental disorders is something you could deem that as being unsuccessful, right? If you're battling depression or bipolar, I think that is an effect of not being content with your life, not having the success you wanted. Because I think that people that go to the doctor and they're like, okay, there's no mention of having a mental disorder, and it happens to be a married woman. Don't you think that perhaps she's more successful? No. I did want to talk a little bit about Venezuela. So, shifting the conversation, Venezuelan gangs, and so there's been this back and forth about this being fake news, but here's a little article I found.
Are you
So
talking about Colorado?
this is yes
In
with
Colorado?
Colorado. So
I'm pretty sure they send in either the National Guard or something.
there's a lot of misinformation on this, or a lot of I don't know I don't know which one to take away from, but this comes here. I'll just read this article. So, following the former President Donald Trump's comments during this Tuesday's debate regarding Venezuelan gangs invading Colorado City, which a lot of people dismissed as fake news, the mayor of Aurora, Colorado, and his local police leaders announced several arrests and addressed the Republican presidential nominee's claims. Aurora police have arrested alleged 10 members of the Tren de Arruga. Probably pronounced that wrong, but a large criminal organization from Venezuela, and charged them with various offenses. So they've arrested and charged 10 Venezuelan gang members. And so, how real is that? And we've seen these different these videos have been circulating of the gang members going in, and they dismissed this as fake. But I mean, how big of a factor do you think this is? Do you think this is something that's real? Do you think this is some kind of one-off event?
I think it's real.
Okay, do you think this is more than a one-off event? Do you think this is a widespread concern? Do you think there's multiple gangs taking over multiple apartment buildings, or do you think it's just this one video went viral? What do you think?
Didn't they raid like a Target and stuff?
I think that's
Is that
just
fake?
an everyday thing in
I was
California
gonna say,
now.
that's
Like,
all the
Oh,
time.
I don't know.
Oh.
I heard that they did something in Target.
yeah, I think that, we there's no shortage of the theft and crime going on the retail sector, especially from these retail stores, particularly Walgreens and Target. It's kind of depressing, right? You go to Target and everything's locked up. You want some deodorant and you got to go press a button and wait for somebody to come by and unlock a cage. And so I think it's just straight cause and effect from vandals. And are those vandals immigrants? Is that I think that's like the big question here. Is this just domestic violence and domestic crimes, or do you think that this is being caused by immigrants? I mean,
I think part of it is, like my family immigrated here legally, and it took forever. It took forever to become citizens and even get a green card. The problem with just like having an open door policy and anyone coming in, you are going to get some bad apples, right? Doesn't represent the grand majority of immigrants, but it's like if you don't have anything in place to figure out, okay, these are the bad people, these are the good people, let them stay. Yeah, we can't let you guys in. Sorry, you have a record. At the end of the day, you start bringing people in and you end up throwing them in jail, right? Who's paying for that? Taxpayers are paying for that. Takes money away. Or they end up having to go to a hospital and they can't pay. Who's paying for that? The taxpayers paying that. All right. You talk about burdening certain systems. So I think it's a conversation about immigration as a whole. I think the legal immigration system we have now sucks, which is why some people, and I'll probably argue majority of people, come in illegally. But you also have the other stuff where if I left my door open every day and 100 people came into my house, I'm sure 90 of those people would be cool people. But 10 of them, maybe one of them's a murderer. Maybe one of them would steal my money. Maybe one of them would burn my house down. And I'm not willing to take that risk. And so we have to have things in place. But it also, the legal system we have in place, that's what these politicians don't talk about. How about you talk about, well, what's wrong with the legal system? And let's fix that. And then maybe you'll get more of the good people that come into the legal way. You're like, okay, cool, great. And then the other way, you completely shut it off and, funnel people into coming in legally. I think that's what people don't talk about. And these politicians who run on these issues and they pander to their base, whether it's Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, there's good and bad people. You just got to figure out which one's good, which one's bad. Just like a job. You talk to 10 people. How do you figure out which one's the right fit, which one's not? They have a resume. You have a process, a second interview, a mock service, whatever the case may be.
At the end of the day, you have millions of people that want to come into America, and then you have a process for immigrants coming in, and they only allow so many. So at the end of the day, people are just upset and don't want to go through the process. And they got to deny people, right? you can't just say, hey, well, the legal process is very difficult and hard. Of course it's difficult and hard because there's 10 million people that
But
want to
it's
come
not
in.
efficient. It's not efficient.
It doesn't
My,
need
co-
it. I-
my,
in
my cousin
opinion.
came here 16 years ago. She still does not have her green card. Still. And she works for a large credit union. She pays her taxes. She makes really good money. She just doesn't have she has a work permit. It's not a green card.
But why is it not efficient? Probably because they're sworn by illegal immigrants that are here that are trying to get. Here's the thing, like I also have family members, you know, my family is Portuguese. I got a lot of family members that are here that came in illegally and then wanted to go through the process to become legal. And so it's like, and yes, they eventually get it after years, but why didn't they go through the correct process in the first place? So it's like, did your cousin that came in, did they come in initially illegally?
No, they came in legally. She did it the legal way.
How did she come in?
And she's looking at all these people that did what you said people are doing, coming in illegally and then deal with it after. And she's like, what the fuck? Like, I should have done that. But she chose to do it the right way, and she kind of got screwed over because the court system's so bogged down. You wait 8 years to get your first court appearance, and then you got to wait another 2 years, and then paperwork's another 2 years, and then you got to get a lawyer and pay all these fees. It's a broken system.
I think it's broken because the system's
And let me tell you something.
that are here illegally.
Let me tell you something. With a global birth rate for a majority of countries on the decline, which people like Elon Musk have said is an existential threat to humanity, which it is. People are not having kids, and we're not replacing the people that are dying. One person every 8 seconds dies. If you're not at least keeping on par with that, I mean, you don't need to be a freaking genius or Albert Einstein to figure out what's going on. So for a country to flourish, you do need immigrants, because you take a look at some other countries, notably in Africa, they actually have a positive birth trend rate. Yeah. And so I think for any country, immigration is extremely important. It's just, do you have an efficient system in place, and can you keep illegal immigration? You're never going to keep it to zero, but can you keep it to a very, very minimum? Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty big topic.
All right, I think that'll kind of wrap up our show today, but I did want to kind of go around. What y'all think? This is episode 2, so obviously a new show. We're kind of trying to find our footing here, but yeah. What do you think about the vibes? You like the show?
Sure.
You like the quality?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more free flowing.
Yeah. What about you, Ashley?
Y'all are very passionate about everything.
That's right.
That's right.
Are you passionate about anything?
About
Pumpkin spice
anything?
latte.
No. Pumpkin spice lattes. Yes.
Are you passionate about anything?
Anything. That's a really nice question. Thank you, Robin.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
I really do
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Robin's great.
Yeah.
Really nice to me.
It is. I'm very you sound very passionate about that reply. Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna do this every Friday. So come back, check us out. If you're watching for the first time, do us a favor, subscribe. We're trying to get this thing off the ground. We got about 10 viewers today, so a good turnout. And we'd love to do this more than once a week as well. So if we can get this thing popping off, maybe we'll do it twice a week. So subscribe, like, and if you have someone that is looking for some content outside of the normal mainstream channels, tell them about us. And till next Friday, we'll see you then. Have a good one. Thank you. Peace.
Bye.